Hi, Cynthia. Steph here. We're going to scry in your Inkblot that is written in your, or created, I should say, in your name, essence and energy. Thank you for the permission to creatively, curiously, and consciously connect to have your Inkblot expressed here, and for the space held for me to share my insights, the symbols that I see. But I encourage you to remain sovereign, curious, and to strengthen your psyche and psychic senses, to gaze in, to really receive the messages on your own time and terms. But here we are together, and like I said, gratitude for the space held. Let's wander in here. So I am here, and I am viewing your Inkblot from this perspective. I encourage you on your own time, at some point in time, to turn it upside down and view it this way for more insights, even landscape-wise, to see what else may pop out. Just given on the device I'm on, I'm unable to flip it without creating a whole kerfuffle. So I tend to do the readings from the one perspective, and hopefully that encourages you to dive in on your own time and really explore alternative. All right, let's go in here. So I am being really called. Now, I believe it was in your oracle card that it really stood out and inspired your oracle card, is this emotional gems. I almost want to say they remind me of your birthstone. Nonetheless, this filtering, and I believe I called it Brita filter from the other perspective of your name, because it just looks as though there's lots going on. If people wish to maybe get involved with you, there's going to be not a process, but a little bit of a time. Time's not going to move as quickly as maybe it has in the past in you resonating or connecting with somebody or taking their words at face value. So there's been some sort of disappointments. But I also see this as a perfume bottle of your essence. And this is being protected by, now I got too many scribbles here. Let's go. All right, let's head in, by this corset. And this corset is very controlling, not suffocating. So I want to make that very clear when I see the corset for me. In your instance specifically, it doesn't feel like it's restrictive. It feels purposeful in the fact that you're holding a composure together. Because, as I see it, these little guys over here, I see them as three things. Drumsticks, maybe that means something to you, or could, has in the past, maybe it's something you used to do, music in general, wands, and swords. So what this means to me is it's really representative of intellect and intuition, and we could even apply the drumsticks to imagination. So if one wand is intellect and one wand is a sword, the sword is in regards to the slicing and clearing out any sort of emotional debris. This is going to take a little time. I feel like it's a layered landscape as you're working towards this bliss. And it'll be not a bliss in regards to what one may perceive as pleasure or, well, this is emotional bliss. I mean a lightness in feeling. I really believe that you are empathic in nature, and this could be an area to wander into, as well an indigo child, maybe again wandering back to the drumstick thing, and now an indigo adult. And if it hasn't already, perhaps that could just some inspiration in and of that area for maybe an understanding of adjacent purpose or possibility. So I feel like the intellect and the intuition use the drumming of the imagination, sound, music, etc., even just going to the beat of your own tune, your own drum, to really help this clearing move faster. In the event, speed is important to you, but I do wish to say quality is very, very important. So I'm almost going to say, though you may want speed, quality will win in the long run. All right, coming down here, this is where I feel that whole indigo, adult and child. I see like a Cinderella carriage. There are, for lack of a better term, some sort of like demony creatures here, but I'm using demony in a very childlike term. They're not demonic in nature at all. Like their hue is way too good, but I'm going to note their footing is red. It's like they can be lit on fire and take you to safety and or pull you apart. And this comes into that emotional balance, this emotional boat here. I'm not sure if I mentioned before too, like this perfume, it's of your essence. See, I'm already like in the haze. I can't even remember moments before, but I would like to recapture, just in case, that this looks like a perfume bottle of your essence, or you may have a very specific scent you use. And if we dive in really close, there is a cloaked being here. Looks like almost an ice queen. So you could be in an ice space right now, and there's another creature inside. Maybe you have a pet and is helping you through an emotional undertaking, emotional process right now to get to this boat. Now, for some reason, I want to say this boat isn't a goal. It's a process, and once you reach it, you will then have these creatures here. In the live one, I can really see them as like golden lions. And here I see them as golden flying monkeys. So for either which way. But it draws in for me seeing the orange. This could be in that creative imagination. So you might even get really creative or find something that really kind of, that going back to that drum, that really kind of gets your passion going creatively. And you'll find by default, almost of no effort, you're like, oh, well, that wasn't my primary alignment or focus, and it actually helps clear this. And maybe it could be kickboxing, it could be anything. Just maybe it's painting or running or jogging or arranging florals or throwing axes, whatever the case may be. There's a seed of inspiration that can help this whole corset of control, which is controlling in a good way. It's taking the responsibility of personal power and responsibility to filter stuff out that's no longer needed. It's not suppressive, right? It's not suffocating like a traditional corset would be. It is open with different dimensions of squeezes. All right. I shouldn't say you. I don't like telling, but I am sharing. There's these boas here, like those, like back in the day, maybe like those dancers, like da 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 da. So, but they're more they're attached to this like ice queen right now. So there could be some, how I'm actually feeling it as this boa of da 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 sexy sexy is being held off right now. At the same time, it's very feathery and light, but it's like she's pushing them away to be like, not right now. I'm working in this. Thank you very much. This is my current focus. We will get to that. We will get there. We will get to the fun stuff when it feels appropriate. There's also, I'm seeing it right now, it's separated, but I'm seeing it together, and this is an octopus. So this symbol feels very multitasking in nature. You might have a multi-dimensional or multi-potentialite or multifaceted way in the heart space. And I almost want to, and if we go right in, like, I'm not sure if you can see it with me. So there's a gentleman here with a nose, 2 eyes, and hair. I might have ruined him by writing on it. Then there's another gentleman, and I say gentleman just in like male energy. If you can see, if my little thing here, there's a mouth open. Looks almost more like a clown. So these 2 playful creatures. Definitely don't see those in the original. That is a blessing of the digital world. And then let's come here and see him for a second. What's this? This reminds me of, there's a bearded man. Okay, so there's 3 gents, but it's almost like you have 2 jackals or jokesters. So you still have a good sense of humor in your heart. But this feels like, okay, this is like your ice queen up here, but it's of the highest degree. There's 2 eyes right here. I could even see like a sloping mouth. But there's actually stairs in there. Your voice can heal a lot. This feels like your dark bottle. Somebody holds it well, like you hold it well. Okay. What else do we have here for Cynthia? Let's keep wandering through. I thoroughly feel like I could travel this Inkblot a whole lot. Up here, oh my goodness, there we go. Okay. So actually what I see is a face, a feminine figure here. This feels like to me the you that's on earth because of all this green. And I feel like sometimes being earthly or incarnate it's part of your temple path. This whole experience is part of your path. I really say that because of this very deep red staircase that's leading up into this 2-tower temple. And when I say tower, I don't mean tower in like in tarot. I mean like a tower, a transmitter. There's actually 3. So you might be working on moving from one stage to another, like the whole mother, maiden, crone. You might be shifting. This is quite the journey. It's really fascinating. I feel like sometimes, like when you blow up, you can blow up like this is a big volcano. Like when you're pissed, it's a feels like. I don't know if that's true or not. I would never hold that judgment. It's completely just a storyline I'm seeing, but it's definitely what it feels like. Back to earth here. So this feels like your earthly self. This feels like your emotional self. And your essence is actually down here, not down in regards to any sort of measurements that we're accustomed to. It's in this Cinderella story. Kind of brings me back to like the whole imagination. I don't know if I mentioned it from before. Again, childhood, drumming, just something that you did when you were a kid. Like you jumped to your own tune, the way you communicated a Cinderella story, and maybe it's not coming true the way it was told to you. So there's been some emotional disappointments, but the story's changing. It's like you get to revisit them, acknowledge the stories that you may have read or were told to you, and then you told to yourself, like, when I grow up, I'm going to do this. And maybe free them to rewrite them now from this perspective and nurture that inner child. Maybe even have a conversation and be like, I hear you, but girl, this is how it's gonna go. We're gonna revise series 2, and we're gonna bring this, back to the future type thing. There are these loving landscapes that you have, and when I gaze in, and I can see a horn. I don't know if it's a buffalo or it's something gentler. It's something gentler than a ram, so it's not a ram. Maybe it's like a calm bull. Maybe a Taurus is coming into your life, so someone maybe with that. Another earth sign can help ground you and reach your temple. There's something something that just made your blood boil recently, like blood. I don't mean to wander into that behavior, but maybe just what's coming through. So I'd like to also share for a moment, if I may. So just before I knew your Inkblot was going to be expressed, and there's a few on the list, but yours was stepping forward quite prominently. And amongst my meanderings of consciously connecting, this kind of example came through, or a communication came through, and I'm not going to say it as eloquently as I heard it, but I'm going to share it in the event it may inspire or a contemplation, and perhaps it pertains to someone else. But like I said, you were in my main peripheral, so if you don't see me writing for a second, just know it's because I'm speaking and yammering on. So it was something along the lines of this, and I'm going to use very bland examples. I learned to sew. I am not a sewer. I use my sewing skills, but that doesn't mean I must identify as a sewer. I'm a mother, I hold a mother position. That doesn't mean I'm a mother. I resonate with heavy metal. I am not a metalhead. My sexual preference is XYZ, but I am not X, Y, or Z. So something, and hopefully you can hear what I'm saying quite horribly, as it wasn't as fluid when I heard it from Spirit, but it's something about taking a tally of the things you have learned, done, and do, and the freedom to not identify with them. Holding the freedom of acknowledging, patting yourself on the back, celebrating, letting go and healing. I experienced a bad relationship. I am not a bad girlfriend, boyfriend, partner. I tend to overcompensate, over nurture in an effort to, but do you know what I'm saying? There's something about identity and freeing the mental construct to compartmentalize an experience, a skill set, a preference, a knowing as an identity. Because once we identify with something, we carry with it the other's collective of what they contribute to that. And I'm not in any way saying everyone's contributing yay or nay. the simple message was, but you don't know. You can't control that. So hence the filtering to a clean state to say, yeah, I am a supportive role in my job, or I work at McDonald's, I am a garbage person, but I am not those things. Those are skills and experiences and things I do. I am not those. And it could bring it back to the question of, so then what am I? And I personally can't help you there in this paradox in the event that you're following this yammer, because I feel like that question only exists in a mental construct. We've been possibly taught to ask a question, to question existence, to question why you would exist. What's the purpose? Could there be more freedom to simply say the permission for me to be me, you, I am, doesn't need defending, doesn't need to be compartmentalized, doesn't need to be associated with comfortable containers for others to understand you better. And it's really not in an effort to understand, but it's to categorize neatly and yet create conflict simultaneously, which is always that partnering. Neither are better or worse, neither are good or bad, because there's always a catch. There's a catch on either side, hidden or not, exposed or not, blatant or not. There's too many contributing factors. Because once we identify something, we're part of that egregor, that energy amongst the entirety of all energies contributing to that, which isn't a bad thing. However, freedom feels free when it's not defending itself and it is existing. So I am. It's as simple as that. There's no more or less to add or subtract from it, to defend, to clarify, to conceptualize, to communicate. Obviously, I am here doing a very horrible job. I feel like I'm trying to express this. But nonetheless, back to your Inkblot, and I am sorry for going on that rant and rammer, but perhaps it has a place. It just even in a curious conversation. And, you know, are you going to be like, you're crazy? I mean, like, yeah, that's completely fine. If that's a conclusion one wishes to come to, should one need to come to a conclusion. All right. So back to your Inkblot. Thank you very much for all that. Should that apply to you? But it was a very clearly spoken in spirit, and I probably just butchered it, but my efforts hopefully weren't in vain. So when I look at the whole essence of your Inkblot, I want to acknowledge and credit the very jewel-like colors that come through. Now, obviously, as I digitized it, enhancing it through contrast and the exposure, but I wanted to ensure it was like that was the calling for this to be presented in front of your eyes, to see the beauty of you in front of your own eyes, the colorful character you can be. But I want to also say all this color, look at those beautiful purples, the glowing gold of yellows, and these pink hues, and these deep earthly colors, and these powerful reds. So to me, this is like your power temple, but you know, when you're pissed off, that's power too. And it comes in these beautiful, beautiful hues of blue, but it comes from this shadow, this sword, this, I'm going to say complicated, and not to validate any sort of complications or not acknowledge complications of life. There is a significant, I want to drill right on in here, point. Boom. There's a point. The source, the seed, your belly button is coming through quite clearly. As well, I'm seeing, that's probably not a shape we want to continue on without being funny, but hilarious. I'm seeing a mermaid So perhaps some water would be very cleansing, especially being an empathic essence. And you also have, oh, for sure, like I'm going to say like empath all the way, right there. And when your empath energy, essence is what I very clearly want to say, is happy, let's get rid of all my debris. Look at the beauty, the clarity and calm here. And then she feels and floods and can pour out through the light body, solar plexus, creativity, and the highest self starts to come through. And these beings work for you. It's like they will pull, you're being asked to pull your intuition into holding the whole being up. Like typically, we see earth would be below and above would be up. Your whole energy, your feminine energy, okay, feminine energy holds up for your earthly existence because there's a point to being here, to master this temple path, because you are helping along the way. Maybe these are like elephants. I don't know if I actually clarified, or maybe puppy dogs actually, or just dogs. If you don't have a pet, you might really want to consider getting a pet. They could really like a companion that can soothe. That feels well. All right, Cynthia, I feel like I've jabbered on a significant long time, and I apologize for the yammering, but again, glad I could share. Feel free, you have your link, excuse me, to wander in. And if you're looking for like that punch of inspiration or whatever you're going through, you control the tightness of your corset. If you need to squeeze some stuff out to get to your point of clarity, water is a big hint. Something about your essence scent. You have a very particular scent, and that'll get you ready for love again. In the event, and it doesn't even need to be love in a traditional romantic sense. At some point in time, perhaps you'd be open to that. But even love through friends. You know what I mean? Like just people that you can go out and have like a girl's night or a guy's night or whatever the case may be. Oh, I also see a person. I'm looking sideways now. You can't see, so I am now looking here, looking this way. Somebody's doing yoga, so perhaps that may be an exercise that you may want to wander into. And there's so many variations, so whether you like it passive or power, or maybe a little both, if they have like a 20-20-20 or a 50-50 class, or all that kind of good stuff. All right, Cynthia, thank you so much. I feel very honored to be all up in your energy and your essence and your creative colors. My goodness. And I really want to highlight again. Look at that. And it just swirls out from there. Please enjoy getting to the seed of this and letting go and moving on and finding a course of filtration that you'll be able to speed up in the process for the future. So if other things come up, it won't be so breakdowny. Not saying that you're in a breakdown, but you just in general, like the tools needed to break down like a Brita filter, all the different minerals coming together, and then the water has to slowly drip through, and then you watch the Brita filter like drip, 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 and you're like, oh my goodness, I just want clean water. But all of those things have to come together, work together, and it can slow things down. And at some point in time, you might actually be able to, if you're not already, like moving, filtering very quickly. So if a similar situation comes up in the future, you'll be like, yep, okay, I'm going to go to my yoga class, I'm going to do what things I want to do. You'll already know verbatim how to step into those things, so it'll be a smoother filtration system for your highly empathic nature. I hope that helps. Feel free to contact me. Later.